Hi, I'm Ian Clester. I'm a PhD student in music technology at Georgia Tech in the Computational Music for All lab, where I work with Dr. Jason Freeman. Today, I'm going to be showing off a little prototype called TAPE, the Transformative Action-Preserving Editor. And while I think TAPE is sort of nifty, its real function was to serve as a Trojan horse to let me infiltrate your charming programming workshop so that I could commandeer your collective attention and point it at a problem that personally aggravates me. The problem, in my view, is a fundamental dilemma in computational media, which, if I were more grandiose, that'd be the title of the talk. But it's the tension between direct manipulation and programmatic transformation, between immediacy of action and preservation of intent. So to illustrate this, I'll first talk generally about software for creating media. And I want to put it into three categories: editors, programming environments, and computational editors. So first category, this is an editor. I press the H key on my keyboard and an H shows up. I can use the arrow keys and my cursor moves in that direction. I can use the mouse, move the cursor, select stuff. I can also do some higher level actions like transform to uppercase or copy and paste. Same thing here with Krita. This is a drawing program and I can draw and I can use higher level things like circles and copy and paste. And the point of this category is just everything just happens, right? I want to make a change and I grab the appropriate tool and I just do it, and then the canvas or the document or whatever it is changed. That contrasts with the second category, which is programming environments. So this is OpenSCAD. This is 3D modeling software where I have this view of 3D models, a 3D scene, but I cannot actually modify it. If I try to grab it, then it just moves the camera, and I have to go and edit the program on the left in order to enact a change, even if I know what that change should look like, and I have to go edit the program to affect a change in the output. Similarly, this is EarSketch. This is a project I work on at Georgia Tech, where you have a script that populates this sort of DAW timeline with sounds and effects. And that should have had audio, oh well. And I can't just move clips in it. I need to go and change the script if I want to change the DAW project. So we have this kind of dichotomy between editors and programming environments where one is direct and immediate. Within that, there may be things that are more or less direct or sort of lower or higher level. And then we have this other category of programming environments where nothing is direct. I have to formulate any change I want to see in the output as a change to the program. But I can do things that would be tedious or impossible just to do directly. And they preserve my intent in the form of a program, which is nice. So what about something that does both, the computational editor? Well, OK, you know where I'm obligated to go to this? Spreadsheets, right? So here's a spreadsheet. Wow. I can just start I can start typing. I press H, and there's an H, and I can go back and edit it and do stuff. And then when I'm ready, I can bring in a formula. And so here's a 10 that I've entered directly, and then here's a formula where I reference the thing and then have a tiny little program. It's great. I say, oh, there's too many threes. I want to tweak that. OK, I can't grab the threes, right? I can't do it. I'm not allowed. And this causes me great distress. You'll see why in a minute. But anyway, I have to formulate what I want to see as a change to the program. And maybe I come up with it because I'm a great programmer, whatever. But I've lost the directness. And if I have a lot of tweaks, this is going to get annoying. And especially if I'm just trying to make intuitive tweaks to some output. And so the other option I have is just copying and pasting the output of the program and then tweaking it directly. Now I'm allowed to grab the threes. But of course, now I've lost the program. I threw out the baby with the bathwater. Now I don't have the linkage, and I'm very sad. OK, I'm also obligated to mention things related to spreadsheets. Hot luck, get it? So Ink and Switch has done a lot of inspiring work on dynamic documents with projects such as Potluck and Embark. And to my knowledge, these basically have the same sort of thing, where, like spreadsheets, they let you combine content and computation, the direct and the programmatic, and they do it in a more flexible way than spreadsheets. But still, if you have something computed, it's read-only. It's an annotation. Okay, why care? Like, how often do you want to tweak the output of a spreadsheet formula unless you're trying to cook the books or something? Like accounting fraud, I don't know. So here's a non-spreadsheet example. This is Blender. This is more 3D modeling software. It's great, it's wonderful. I can do direct manipulation. So I can grab my model in the scene and move it around, and I can grab vertices from the mesh and move them around. It's awesome. Also, it has geometry nodes, which are really awesome because now I have a data flow program, and look at all this geometry. And so it's like a spreadsheet in that I'm referencing some stuff that I created more directly. And then if I tweak the stuff I created directly like this, then, wow, look, the stuff updates. The problem is now I have this artifact, and I'm like, oh, this scene looks pretty good, but I want to move that one. That blue noodle right there, I try, it moves everything. That's not good. I try to select some vertices. There's nothing to select. It's not really there. It's an illusion. And so I'm deeply distressed. Okay. I'm even more distressed because this has affected my own work. So this is Lambda. This lets you put little formulas in the DAW timeline. Okay, I'll be a little bit quiet for a second. So I have a formula, I have MIDI that it generates. I want to change that, make an intuitive tweak to the end. Okay, the worst part is Lambda actually lets you do this. But then, if this ever gets reevaluated, it just erases it. It just overwrites it. So it gives you false hope, and that's really the cruelest possible design choice here. So this infuriates me. And so I want to be able to do it all. I want to go from direct to programmatic and back. I want to have the thing not just be an annotation. Okay, so enter tape. It's an editor. That's what the E is for. I can type. I hit H. There's an H. Okay. I can copy and paste. And because we know how copy and paste works, and this is an editor, right? It's just a copy. If it sort of has forgotten what it came from, I change this. The other one doesn't change. Okay, in tape, you can press the modifier key, special modifier key, Alt. When it's on, the recording light turns on. And then you can do preserving copies and pastes. So now it does the thing. Okay, so I just still did Control-C and Control-V, but while holding Alt. And then this made them go from immediate copy and paste to preserved copy and paste. So when I do that, this creates a computed region, and I can add stuff to this reel, which is the recording of everything, all the computations in that region. And then I'm allowed to just edit the computed region. That's allowed, and it doesn't forget it. Even when I go and force a reevaluation, it's still there. So this is this is the one feature I want to show off. This is the thing I just want everything to have some version of, please. So, okay, but anyway, once you have this reel, you can modify the reel directly too. So you can rearrange the order of events here in this little pipeline. And yeah, or you can delete or add things directly. That's allowed, sort of like editing the formula. And in addition to the programmatic copy and paste, you can also just directly run any command, including commands from the command palette while holding Alt. So here I have wonderful, I go to the command palette, and if I hold Alt while I do uppercase, then that becomes a computed region itself. And so you can see now there's a reel because there's a region. I can change sort of the source material there. In this case, there's no input region that's separate. This is kind of a standalone computed region. Okay, last thing I'll mention for time is there's kind of a generic action you can take, which is a formula. So I just did an immediate mode formula where it doesn't save the formula, it just does it. You can, of course, also hold Alt, like with all other things, to make it preserving. So now I'm going to do that. I'm going to say equals this divided by 3. Okay, and now this is just like a spreadsheet again. Okay, so let's see. That is tape. And oh yeah, and here I'm editing this and adding a formula directly to the reel, and that works too. Okay, so what I actually want this for is not what I just showed you. I chose text because in some sense text is easy, and CodeMirror 6 is great and gives me just a normal text editing experience as a baseline, kind of for free. Hooray. But what I actually want this for is not text, right? I'm still mad about Lambda. What I want is something more like, okay, so here's strudel again. And I have this beautiful chain of function calls, method calls here, this pipeline of composition. And it sounds great, but I would like to be able to take any intermediate part of this, and I want to be able to intervene directly and modify that, and not have to think necessarily about how to first formulate it in code. I'd like to be able to just make the change and both have the change recorded and also not throw out the rest of the program in the process. Similarly, in Blender, there's these modifier stacks. I'd like to be able to go make a manual edit to the output of some geometry nodes and have that remembered as well. So really, I want this not in, a text editor is fine, but I want it everywhere. And there are some challenges, right? So one kind of obvious challenge, which I'll show back in tape, is it captures everything super naively. Like it just does like the dumbest thing you could think of to capture your changes. This is fine for like higher level things like uppercase, but yeah, for just typing. Okay, what did it record? It recorded that I inserted an S at like index 5. Okay, so I pluralized, but then I changed the word, and now it should be planets, but it's planest, right? Because it didn't actually capture my intent. It just captured my action, and it made up like a fictional intent that I never had. I can manually fix this by editing the real and putting something closer to what I really meant. But yeah, this seems like a general problem. There's a lot of inspiring work on bidirectional programming and output-directed programming, as with Sketch and Sketch, where it's more of the programming environment interface. You can modify the output, and it tries to come up with an explanation for you, maybe a number of explanations, and you get to choose. That's great. I'd love to incorporate something like that into tape. But the virtue here is that at least it does something. And I would like more software to at least do something. And let me edit the thing. Okay, so yeah, there's other things that are, I think, interesting to discuss, like if you are making relatedly, if you're making a bunch of these tweaks and it's kind of coming up with naive, kind of filler explanations, like dumbest possible edit to the program, and you're getting a bunch of those, then it gets messy, right? So relatedly, how do you deal with the mess? I think if you're using this to just create a piece of media, like you're using it to create an artifact, then a lot of times maybe this won't matter. Maybe you'll just get to the end and the reels will be a mess, but it'll be okay because you're already done. It looks the way you wanted it to look. Another thing I'm really interested in here is time. So all the systems I mentioned are very focused on a program that creates a static output, but I'd be very interested to think about how would you deal with something like processing or Scratch or Strudel more broadly, where time is an important element and the output is changing over time, and it's not just a static document. So, okay, let's see. Yeah, in summary, if it's on a computer, let me compute, right? Give me some kind of, yes, this is the one. I added this right before this just so I would have something. If it's on a computer, let me compute, right? It's a computer. It can do so much stuff, please. And if it's in my document, let me write. Let me edit it. Don't just make it like a annotation or this illusory thing that kind of exists. OK, so anyway, direct and programmatic. Tape holds it together. Tape is also super hacky. But anyway, the goal here is bring back the bespoke and the intuitive. Let users just make changes while also embracing computation, and don't worry about making it perfect or capturing the intent perfectly all the time at first. So okay, that's what I got, and I think that's time.